Salutations, this is a Crazy Spider. I recently finished a game that had me thinking a lot more than I initially anticipated. It's Uncharted 4. Most people, if you're in the video game community, will have recently heard that that game is getting quite good praise and is being very well reviewed and well received by a large portion of the community. Being a PS4 exclusive will obviously make a few people upset, but you know, stuff like that is just an unfortunate side effect of working in an industry where exclusives exist. But not to dwell on that. Oh man, the sun and the camera going together. Not to dwell on that, I did kind of want to talk about the game a little bit, the basics. Short, sweet, and simple thing. If you like the previous games, you will love Uncharted 4, hands down. Don't even bother, looking anywhere else. Go buy it. If you like the last ones, you'll love this one. If you enjoyed the kind of Tomb Raider-y, Lara Croft style games, you like a game that is cinematic, which is a word I don't really like to use in games, but I feel is quite applicable with Uncharted. That's kind of how the series is built, around cinematic action pieces stringing together very well. In a weird way, it actually has a lot to do with Call of Duty in that sense of it tries to string together a bunch of action pieces. However, the action pieces in Uncharted are strung together by pieces of non-action in between. However, in Call of Duty, after every action scene, there's more action. There's very rarely any downtime, but I digress. Uncharted 4 is good. The stealth segments have been massively improved. They've added a few new mechanics that work really well with the game, and just as a whole, it's a solid improvement on the franchise and a good way to kind of close out the story of Nathan Drake. So that's the basic details about the game. If you enjoyed other adventure games or other games with that kind of adventure narrative feel, totally worth a look. I'd highly recommend it. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about entirely. There are plenty of people out there who are far better reviewers than I am. I tend to like everything a little bit, and Uncharted definitely scratched an itch for me. However, what Uncharted did differently that I haven't received from games in a while, or even much media in a while, even the big movies I've seen recently, very few of them make me think about myself a whole lot. In a lot of ways, Uncharted 4 is a story about someone who's growing up / starting to grow up and realizing that being an adult is both awesome and terrifying, as well as great and terrible. It's great because you have the ability to make your own decisions and do things that you could never do as a child when you don't have the power, money, or ability to do so. But it's also terrible because you can completely screw it up. There are risks you can take that you will, give yourself, lifelong problems with. You will ruin your finances. You will do things that cause you more pain than you could imagine. And if you aren't careful and you don't play it safe, this can really hurt you. And it's a game about that kind of balance, that weird decision process of deciding how much risk are you willing to take on. That's the story behind the scenes, and it's something that really stuck with me. There are very few games that make me look so internally and really analyze myself from that kind of perspective. A few of the other ones in the past have been non-action-y and have been more narratively focused, but it's good to see there was a game out there that derived heavily from action, but still made me feel like I had to think about it. I had to think about it on a deeper level. So the core thing that I wanted to talk about, at least, was that the idea behind Uncharted reminds me a lot of leaving college. While I was in college, yes, I was making my own decisions and I was choosing my own way, but at the same time, there's still a big safety net. My parents would have graciously accepted me back in if something had gone terribly wrong and I needed to, spend more time with family. It's something that I could have done. And don't get me wrong, I'm extremely thankful for having that opportunity and a loving family. But at the same time, it mitigated a lot of the risk. it didn't feel like I was making life-altering decisions as much, because there was always a safety net. But as an adult now, you know, I have my own job, I pay my own rent. Anything and everything that I do is effectively my decision. Yes, of course, my family is involved in some decisions that I make, because I always want to try to remain close home to family if possible, and I always want to be involved in a way that, you know, it feels good. But, you know, nonetheless, there's still, you know, there's still risk involved. That safety net is kind of dissipated. You know, yes, my family would still be there, but not to the same extent. I could very easily decide, I'm gonna go fly to some other part of the country, go rock climbing on my own, and my parents wouldn't really have the say to tell me no. I could break my arm, I could break my leg, I could do tons of different things. I could take risks far beyond what I would normally be willing to take. And that's really what this game to me made me think about. It made me think about how, in a lot of ways, I'm living my life extremely safely. And I'm thankful that I have, because it's gotten to me to where I have been today, but it's also made me think I might need to take a few more risks. I might need to put myself out there more, find oh boy, lots of birds, a new and better way to experience life. So it's always interesting. I remember when games were about, you know, Crash Bandicoot jumping across ravines and collecting peaches. Wasn't a whole lot of big mental turmoil that came from that. But yet, at the same time, those games still exist. You know, there's still plenty of games out there that you can mindlessly just have fun. But there aren't a whole lot of games out there that make you introspect and think about what you've done and what you've achieved and what you have yet to achieve. I guess kind of the funny part about this whole situation is, in the end, it makes you think how much of a risk you're willing to take to find your own treasure. Anyways, this has been A Crazy Spider. Have a great day.